CMUEagles.com with new Central Methodist men's head soccer coach, Alex Nichols. Alex, welcome to the family. What made you interested in choosing Central Methodist to be the next head coach?
You know, I knew that in the past years the program has been a very good program. I've heard nothing but good things from acquaintances who have been a part of different education programs here. I know it's a university that has high expectations both on and off the field, and that's something that I want to be a part of. High expectations just leads to a successful program, leads to a successful educational institution, and so that's a place where I want to be a part of and be able to further what expectations currently are and then achieve those.
You had tremendous success at nearby Rockbridge High School. How do you think you can continue that success and bring that over to Fayette?
You know, again, just make sure teams are on the same page as far as making sure that they're holding each other accountable, holding themselves accountable, and making sure that everybody is working as hard as they can to get better, again, both on and off the field. If the goals are set high, then I think that's half the battle. If you get guys to buy into what you're doing, and if you have the proper mentality, then typically that ends up leading to success. So I think it's first about making sure we have the right guys who are excited to be here and excited to achieve some very, very difficult goals that we are going to set for ourselves and each other.
Central Methodist Vice President and Athletic Director Ken Oliver alluded to one of the positive and most notable characteristics from you is that you know the mid-Missouri area, having been around here with Rockbridge High School and Columbia College and your other previous stops. How do you think you can bring the knowledge of the mid-Missouri area first and foremost to recruiting student athletes to Fayette?
You know, I think one, you establish your reputation over, years. And so I think with that reputation, the relationships that you've built with people here, that I have built with people here in mid-Missouri, Missouri overall, and the Midwest as much as we have traveled, I think you set that. We have that reputation at this point in time. People know what Rockbridge is about. People know what Columbia College is about. And people know that we do things the right way. And so now coming to Central Methodist, I would hope that people would want to be a part of an organization that does the right thing.
How do you expect to use some of your area connections and the relationships you've built with families and players and other coaches to potentially make Central Methodist into the perennial powerhouse that is your expectation and the expectation of this administration?
You know, again, it comes back to people understanding that if you have expectations in place and if people know what you're going to get, I'm not going to all of a sudden change what has been. And so the goals aren't going to change. They're only going to go up. And I think the families and the other teams and programs that we have relationships with are going to, I would like to think, want to send their kids here to continue developing at the collegiate level. And so I think that reputation follows, and it's just a means of making sure that all the student athletes that we're going to get know that Central Methodist is a place that is going to want them and that is going to do the best for them, both on and off the field. And that's something that a lot of people say. We want what's best for your kid, but actually living it and doing it is a lot different than saying it. And we're going to be a place that actually does it.
Your experiences as a goalkeeper, for those Central Methodist fans not familiar with your previous experience, can you allude to some of the success that your goalkeepers have had both in high school, maybe at the local college level?
Well, every goalkeeper that I have been fortunate enough to train has gone on to the collegiate level or has been offered the top schools, whether it's D1, D2, D3, NAIA, junior colleges. The sky's the limit for offers that every one of my goalkeepers that I've trained has had. And so that's a position where we have the highest of expectations for sure. You have to have a good goalkeeper, otherwise your team's not going to be successful. And so that's something that we're going to be very very adamant about looking into as far as making sure we have the best in the business.
Who was the goalkeeper at Rockbridge and maybe some of the keepers you helped train at Columbia College, and what types of honors and national recognitions did they pull in?
We've had a lot of players receive, probably the most in Rockbridge history this past 4 years. I think we've had an All-American, we've had we've had probably about 6 or 7 first-team All-State players overall, probably 15 plus, just not necessarily first team, but All-State players overall. And as far as goalkeeper, we've had our goalkeeper that is just graduated. He was National High School Player of the Week for the NSCAA, along with being one of the just top goalkeepers. Everybody knows him in Missouri. We've had keepers go to Drury. We've had keepers. Actually, we've had one keeper come here to CMU, and so yeah.
Finally, what are your expectations, and what will the message be for your team when you first meet with them when they report back in August?
That our goal is not to have a winning record, that our goal is to be the best program. That's the goal should be as high as you possibly can, so long as they're measurable. And I think being a top team in the NAI is a measurable goal. And so that's going to be the first thing. Make sure everybody's on board with that, because just winning conference, that should not be, it's a big goal. But at the end of the day, we need to have the biggest goals if we're going to actually achieve anything worth noting, and we will do that. Another thing is making sure we are doing our job in the classroom as well, because education is first and foremost. So just to make sure that everybody knows that as far as education goes and as far as our record and winning and getting better, that's going to be a day in and day out type of thing. And so until we achieve that, and even when we achieve that, we're going to keep working.